see this 107 just pretty much states that it's, everything's on the building official. It doesn't go into defining temporary structures, which is where the work comes in.
So has there been some definitions you've looked at?
Yes. All the way back to February of 2020.
Well, Travis, what does the IRC define temporary structures?
You got it right in front of you. That's what he just gave you.
So,
It doesn't define it.
I mean, I'm not sure what we're looking for. If that document, which is this thick and goes through the court system, and you understand how to look at a temporary structure and say it is or it isn't, and if I'm understanding, you actually are kind of an advisor to 5 or 6 other counties around us when they call you because you have the 20 plus years, 22, 23 now, and people are asking you questions as to what's a temporary structure. So why wouldn't we just ask you, how do you define a temporary structure and get it done? That just seems too simple. If the IRC is already, if that's it, then that's just it. What's the, I don't understand the big deal. I mean, because when you go out to a place and you look at it, you make that decision, correct?
From R107.
So is there a definition that has to be, do we have to have a definition, or has this been sufficient? And it's your call, and that's your job. I'm not sure why we're sitting here to redefine something,
Well,
and then is it gonna pass your muster, so to speak? It seems reasonable to me to think
so
that.
you guys are wanting an actual description of what it is versus, I guess,
this started out as a discussion of what is a temporary structure. Because section 107 doesn't define it.
And that's where we ended up the last time we talked about this, which I have no idea when that was. It could have been a year ago.
So it sounds to me like Travis is wanting some meat behind it, so he can, when he makes the call, that it either does or does not conform with the definition. Is that it? I mean, because then, is that gonna box you in?
No?
It revolves around,
It revolves around campers and tiny homes and people who are living in portable storage facilities. This is our issue right now, and that's what we need to focus on. And I think one of the first things we did was make sure that we distinguish between a recreational vehicle, a camper on wheels,
a mobile home.
not a mobile home.
It's not there.
Mobile home has a stamp, correct?
Where's this from?
That's an assemblage of pieces and parts. It's a copy machine.
Yes, it is. Well, you may have
I
to
see what you're saying now, where I just never really looked at it.
I'm just trying to
Looked at it
figure out,
that way.
to me, I mean, you're gonna say a mobile home is not a permanent residence, but it really can be for what its intended use is. A mobile home is
A mobile home, if it's
is
got,
is for permanent
tell them about the
residence.
HUD stamp. It's got to have a HUD stamp. If it's
Yes.
not an RV, it's either a mobile home that has a HUD stamp, or it is a recreational vehicle which has a license plate,
Yes,
or it's a utility shed someone's living in.
right.
Where we're getting into trouble is not the mobile homes because they have a HUD stamp.
They have HUD codes.
That's
They
right.
have HUD codes. And manufactured homes are.
That's right, it's a manufactured home. So the problem we're getting into is,
The campers and the RVs.
in order for him to enforce whatever,
And storage units, they're living in storage units too. Well, I know some people have used storage units and constructed their homes around them. Did you know that? I was gonna say, cause I had to.
you don't have to drive very far
I
to
had
see
to
it.
appraise a couple of them and it's like,
How can you appraise that? That's not a home. It doesn't have a foundation, it doesn't have tie downs.
they actually put one
As
around,
urban,
don't they?
as Urban Day said,
But
it's,
they're not. I don't know what to say. They are putting them on foundations, but it's not to contractor specs.
Depends on what the definition of foundation is.
Yes, yes.
We passed that before.
they don't pass code.
Right.
No, they don't.
See, you got, you know, as the minimums, you know, are in the International Residential Code, which that is what we're using. You know, just to make it simple, the first part of it is basically framing, the back part of the book is basically mobiles, you know, mobs and mobiles. If it doesn't fall into those two categories, it falls under R107. So I never really, I've never been questioned on that. I mean, even, you know, when we've had cases that, you know, appeared in court, that we needed a definition, it's never been asked. So but I totally see what you're saying, where I just never kind of thought of it that way. We always went a different direction. It wasn't this, and it's not this,
It's gotta be that.
It's-
And to me, that to me, if you always have a specific definition and you don't have an exception to or anything, you're boxing yourself in. And I mean, to me, then you might be back here in a year saying, oh, well, now this applies. Unfortunately, 5 years ago, there wasn't the issue with people just pulling in campers anywhere and living in them. And now we've got this issue along with mini barns and containment units. If there's a will, there's a way. And if they can find an avenue to live in it, I mean, you're gonna have to call up pole barns that are not construction for residential use. I mean, because they're gonna say, well, but you've said we can't live in this. There's other structures that are not gonna fall under that. Am I explaining myself right? Do you see where I'm going?
Yeah, I do.
I don't want you to box yourself in and then come up with, well, this isn't a mini barn, this isn't an RV, this isn't this. To me, specific definitions without any exceptions or anything can get you into trouble. Tie your hands, and I wouldn't want you to see your hands tied.
Well, and
Because it's obvious that RVs are not intended to be lived in all the time. Campers are not intended to be lived in all the time. Mini barns were not constructed to live in all the time.
But that is a storage unit that's built off of, if, like Todd said, if you can't, you know, provide, you know, your HUD plate, your mod stickers, you know, to fit into the mobile section. Okay, well, it's got to be
Excuse me,
separate.
Mark, Travis is trying to explain something to us. Say that again
I go at it the other way, it's like, you got this structure, okay, well, number one, we'll just use the mobiles and storage units for example. It's built off-site, that's number one, okay? Now, where does it go from there? Okay, now you've got the structure here, but like the mini barns, something like that, storage units that people are living in, it doesn't have an RV sticker on it, like your RVs and campers, okay? Now, those would fall under temporary use, 180 days, okay? And the other mobiles would be a HUD plate or mod sticker, blue or gold, okay? They go in another direction. So if you can't provide one of the two, it's not even, it's not even gonna fall under temporary uses. But I see what you're saying too, Lori, the definitions, I don't know if that's gonna.
And I think that's kind of where Mark was kind of going too. It's like, I was kind of thinking on Mark's line when he says, why should we do this? Because you're the one calling the shots on it. I mean, if anything, maybe we need to say, maybe reinforce what he's doing already and put it in black and white. And it's not necessarily, I don't know if there's a way to do that. That basically, that is your job.
And I don't know if you wanna do that or not, is that just gonna
I know.
muddy the water up even further? I've never said no, I've never had anybody say, or any of the judges say, no, we don't even know what this is, you can't define it, or, whatever. It's always been this frame, mobile, or tent, period. And if it's not, it's storage. Like, okay, let's say four things. So I don't know, but
To me, that would be, it's easier, and it's gonna be less defining, which could, to me, cause you less havoc.
if you have a definition.
If you have a definition. And we've kind of talked about this before, to me, the definitions are so important. When you read down through, we all have definitions. Your zoning rules and regulations have definitions. Those definitions, you can really get hung up on definitions.
But if you write this definition, is it just going to work backwards in the code, or you just?
I don't know how it started. I don't know if you brought it up, or if somebody come in and said, we want to do a permanent or a temporary structure, and you said no, and they brought it to the planning. See, I don't know how all of this came about.
I'm just wondering if these people that wrote this, okay, maybe they're just a little bit smarter than we are, and they've already jumped a lot of these.
What do you got?
That's the IRC.
No.
So it's got the identical thing that we have, okay, it's identical to what we have already. So maybe they've already jumped through, had pitfalls and stumbled, bumped their head against the wall, and this clear 1, 2, 3, and, then you as the, building inspector, you've done this for 20 plus, now 22, 23 years, and you've never been asked, because is it really just common sense? And if you're that, if your lights are on but nobody's home, you tell them this is the situation, and they walk away, or they conform to what they're supposed to do. Well, that's it. And you've taken them to court, and you've never lost a court
Okay,
case.
yeah, well, let me say this, if it helps out, or the cases I've been involved with, nothing has been thrown out because of lack of being able to identify what we're talking about. That's never happened so far.
So, I want to ask a question. So all of this conversation goes back to chapter 5, right? 518, that
Right.
KK submitted to us.
That's right.
And so I feel like what we're doing is just saying, is what she submitted correct for Washington County? And I think that we talked through those things, and we started, it's temporary uses is what we're talking about. So we talked about signs, if we're gonna use temporary signs, if we're gonna have temporary parking, if we're gonna have garage or yard sales, seasonal sales like fireworks and stuff. Like, then as we get down closer to the temporary residence, so 18.6.1, is that where we're struggling? Because if that's where we're struggling.
That's where we're at.
Okay, so, what,
So John's passed this out, because we've been through 518.6 and 518.7. And what John's passed out has kind of reminded me that, and Emily wrote, what we proposed to alter from 518.6 was add 518.6, this 518.61, and then put in our currently used IRC codes. And then jump to 518.7. And that would be it.
So you're saying on 518.61, somewhere in there, insert what it says in R107 and run with it?
Yeah, if you have a copy of this that Emily, I think Emily made this after a meeting, probably.
I'll go back to another copy.
I was gonna say, that's what Helen just handed me.
After the November meeting,
Yeah.
we discussed and came up with this. What we have here is the current 518 section, and then we worked through a proposed 518 section, and we just have not approved it. So everything we're talking about in this conversation has been discussed. So I think we need to, because if everyone needs to have a copy of this, and then we need to look at this proposed section and see if that works for.
Let me go who doesn't have a copy?
Just me?
Amy only needs a copy,
I'm sure I have.
Mark needs one, two, we'll make 3 more copies.
And that would get us through section 518.
That's right. What? Once and for all?
Well, this is the second time we've discussed 518 without making any motions on it.
Good catch.
I think it's time for a motion.
Yeah.
Well, that's what it says, so I'm sorry.
You were in here.
Where you at?
Right.
No, but this doesn't really, like I said, I didn't think you'd want to specify each particular thing, and this doesn't. This basically is just use what he's been using, which to me is what's working. That's why I said if you start really getting specific, you're gonna box yourself in, and
Yep, you're right.
you know what
Yeah.
you know what they're supposed to be living in, what they're not supposed to be living in.
Right. Yeah, I'm not big question, you know, that there was any confusion ever, so. And I think it's like Andrew was saying, but I can't remember what it was, 5, whatever. But I thought you guys were to the point of taking that R107, putting it in there, so, but I can't remember what it
Well,
was.
there it is, it's
right
here.
We just have to, that's what Todd was asking for the motion about, I believe. So,
And then they added 518.7. Temporary structures with proper permits only as accessories to a permanent use like a temporary classroom or storage building.
Yeah.
So that's on an industrial type site, I'm assuming, or something.
Yeah.
Really said that.
That may have been that November meeting, Todd, when you said take that home and your homework was temporary uses. That may have been that November meeting, and coming back and you're gonna make a motion to pass it.
I think you're right.
But we got involved with everything else and then,
Yeah, we skipped over that and we're moving on to other things,
yeah,
or back, I should say backwards.
backwards.
Oh, I know what it was. Since he's not here, we'll just blame it on John, because it was the, we were also working at on 517 at the same time, so we were looking at the airport overlay. So
So basically, John was behind it.
John was, yeah, he was the culprit.
Oh, boy.
That's what held us up. Thank you.
You got one in there.
Yeah, give that to Mark, would you? Okay, since we've already hashed this out, and Lori has made a good point, we don't want to make rules too stringent. It's up to, some of them up to the discretion of the building authority, Mr. Elliott. If everyone is okay with the new proposals and the new definition of adding what we need to, what we talked about back in November, if there's not any more discussion, I'll entertain a motion to approve 518.
Now, wait a minute. What are you making a motion?
For what was proposed,
The entirety of what's proposed?
yes. Which we did discuss.
Okay.
And we tweaked it once, and this is what we had come up with. We just failed to vote on it because we got sidetracked on other business.
Motion to Todd?
No, I'm asking for a motion.
Oh,
I make the motion that we accept the proposed, 518.6 through 518.7.1. Discussed.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion made by Mark, second by Kevin. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay.
that would include a change of the numbering, correct? That motion would include a change of the numbering, make the R107 something.
Incorporating the R107s.
No, we're recognizing R107, which is a state, that's a state number, right?
That's the official.
What'd you say, Kevin?
So that's the official,
Yes.
That's what we're doing.
Uh,
So if somebody wants to look this up, they would go to R107.1. If they needed to look it up under this, so that's, when we leave that as part of 518.6.1.
Yeah, that way.
As that is, R107.1.
Those would be like
Yeah, that's thing.
subparagraphs of, or just refer to it
I
instead of typing them all out. I don't. That's a,
think that
I think that's a legal question.
paragraphs R107.1.2, .3, and .4 should be renumbered to be consistent with section 518.6.1. If you don't renumber those in some fashion, then you need to include a specific reference within this to
Okay, I see what you're saying, but as long as we reference them at the end of each paragraph, right? We can change the,
I would just renumber those and make them just sub-paragraphs, A, B, C, and D or something.
That's what I was gonna ask, John, can we just make them, the R 107.1 general, can we just put an A in front of that?
I mean, would be my suggestion.
Yeah,
If you leave the R 107 in there, that's gonna be totally confusing unless you put a footnote in there that says 2016, 2018 International Residential Code found at website X. Andrews made a motion to amend, to change the numbers R 107, 1, 2, 3, 4, to A, B, C, and D. Did you ever?
yeah,
motion made by Mr. Scott, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Danielle, all those in favor say aye. Okay,